So, I spoke of grief a couple of minutes ago. I had just woken up from my nap. I was extremely exhausted. I could not sleep well at night because I had to catch an early morning train and visit my grandmother. It was a whole thing, but ultimately, I just feel quite rejuvenated right now. It's almost 11 p.m. I think I'll just record this and take a walk and go to bed. I think I was not able to really articulate my own experience with grief as well as I wanted to. And this is why I want to talk about it more in depth. It has only been a little less than 12 hours since I arrived, and I was speaking to my grandmother face to face after a long time, and we were just simply talking about how different life feels now that my grandfather is no more. It is a weird feeling because, as I mentioned, that my association with this particular house was that my grandparents live here. There is no reason for me to be excited about this place other than the fact that the two people I love a lot and who have seen me grow up in front of their eyes, I was born in front of their eyes. I saw them every single year for 2 months minimum. It's just a weird feeling not having one of them around anymore. When I was a kid, I think that my idea of death used to be that I would be extremely devastated, just like how they show in the movies that the person is just extremely depressed and not able to get out of bed. They've lost their will to live. And I used to think that would happen to me as well because of how much I loved my grandfather, my dogs for that matter. And that did not happen, obviously, which is just funny in its own way because life just kept going even after that. I remember when my first dog passed away, I was working that day and he was laying beside me. I saw him take his last breaths. We also went to bury him the same day, and the next day I was back to work. I was crying while working, but I was back to work. I think I just grieved in a very different way. The way we anticipate stuff in life versus the way it unfolds, it's very different. And I know it's such an obvious thing to say, but you don't truly know until you experience it, which I did, and I understood that, yeah, that's the truth. My grandfather passed away a couple of months ago. I had to text my boss at night and tell them that I won't be working the next day because my grandfather passed away. And the thing is that I still worked a little. And that was the weirdest part for me because here, the person that I've known all my life, the person who's seen me from literally day zero till this point, is no more. And here I am worrying about office shit. I'm not saying that this has anything to do with work. I'm just saying how life keeps going. A couple of days after my grandfather, my second dog passed away. I saw her take her last breaths as well. I was working that day. We went to bury her, came back home, was back at work the next day. I know that everyone's grieving process is different. You cannot really have a definitive way of grieving, you know? Mostly in films because I like to watch films and life imitates art. I did have an idea of what grieving could look like, but it just wasn't the same for me. Grieving for me was trying to get up every single day, going to the kitchen without breaking down, starting to cook my food, and remembering that my dogs are no longer there to ask for my food. Then breaking down even harder because of that. Sitting at the dining table with my food in front of me and just checking for them and trying to hear them bark. Working in my room, trying to hear the little footsteps or them running around the house. For me, I think the most difficult part with my own grief was to navigate being alone for the first time in almost 12 years. Because when something or someone is a huge part of your life, it's hard to detach for a bit. It has been a while now. It has been well over 5 months since my second dog's death, and almost a year since my first dog's death. So now I'm used to not having that much sound around my house or the little footsteps. I think of them every single day. I so much so that I even got a tattoo for them and also my grandfather. So they are with me in a way in spirit. They're with me in a way forever. When you allow yourself to fully just let it out of your system and you don't really wait for it to get out of your system, if that makes sense, you know that it's going to be extremely tough, it's going to be difficult, and you don't know for how long is this going to be. Because even now sometimes I catch myself getting a little teary eyed thinking about it, even though it's been a year, year and 6 months, if I count both of them. And it can happen to you at any day, at any time. That's, I think, what human emotions do. And it's like, I read this, and again, it's paraphrased, but human emotions are a roller coaster ride that you cannot opt out of. You have to just be comfortable riding the roller coaster. It's scary, obviously, it is. I've never been on one, so I can understand how scary it is. But it's all about building tolerance. Just like I've always mentioned, nobody ever said that it's going to be easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. As for my grandfather, I've come to this house for the first time since his death, and everything feels different. I was attached to this house, I was attached to this city. There was meaning, right? And I'm realizing it as I'm talking that it was the meaning that I had assigned to it. It was the value that I had given to it. That my grandparents live here, and so it is important to me. And my grandmother's still here, of course, and it is important to me. It always will be. I feel like my grandfather was such a huge part of my life. He was everything to me, which is weird because when I was a kid, I used to think the whole anticipating death thing, right? I used to wake up at 3 a.m. crying that one day my grandparents will pass away, one day my parents will pass away, one day everyone I know and love will pass away, and what will I do? And how will the process even look like? I mean, I would be extremely devastated. But that wasn't the case at all, actually. I was devastated, but not in a way where I could not move or could not function. And I'm not saying that my process was not valid or that somebody who does do these things are overreacting. I'm just saying that everything and everyone is so different. You cannot really portray it the correct way because there is no correct way. That is what makes us individuals. We coexist in a society where we're all different and we're all unique in our own way, and everybody is different. People who relate, people who don't, they relate with something else. People will always relate. That's the point. I remember when we came to see his body, I saw his body. I cried, obviously, I was crying profusely. And all I could see was a body. That was not my grandfather. It was. It was him. Of course, it was him. But that was the body, you know? I had never seen a dead body properly before then. And it just so happens that the first human body that I saw was of my grandfather's. That's exactly what it looked like, a lifeless body, a body that has no life. And that's when I realized that the life was my grandfather. Consciousness was my grandfather. As soon as life left his body, the consciousness left his body, the body was mortal. The body died. Because if you think about it, our bodies are already dead. What's keeping us alive is ourselves, it's us. We are consciousness. We are the life. Once we leave our body, once we depart from this human realm, our bodies are lifeless because they are inanimate. Even in those moments of extreme grief and extreme unwillingness to feel my emotions properly because I was just so devastated by the loss, I could easily sense in my heart that that's not my grandfather. The body that I'm seeing is of my grandfather's, but that's not my grandfather. Because my grandfather is somewhere out here, he's everywhere now. I think the same I felt for my first dog when he passed, because that was actually the first loss I had ever experienced in my life. And that's the same thing I felt with him and also my second dog. I was glad that they're together now. So I feel like I kind of blamed myself for not grieving for the second dog enough. I think that also tends to happen to a lot of people, that you kind of guilt yourself for not grieving enough for someone or something because you've already grieved a lot for something else. I was able to come out of that guilt because I knew that that wasn't real, that was just my thoughts floating, and it's fine. There's this peace that I felt when I saw that their bodies are just without life, and I was obviously very, very, very sad. I mean, I cannot even begin to describe the amount of emotions, the amount of overwhelm I was feeling in those moments. But I just knew that they are one with us. That may not have been the right time for me to insert logic and my own beliefs in those situations, but I just knew in my heart that they're always going to be with me. They're always going to be around, and physically, sure, they're not there. I cannot hug them. I cannot squish my dog's faces. I cannot pick them up and hug them and kiss them endlessly. I cannot hug my grandfather. I cannot probably make food for him anymore. I cannot talk to him anymore. I cannot hear his voice back. I think those are certain drawbacks of being human, which ironically only makes life worth living even more. This is the roller coaster, and nobody can opt out of it. It's like you cannot get rid of the waves, but you can learn how to surf on them. As long as we're human, there's really no escaping shit. We have to just be okay with whatever it is. The resistance is what affects us, bothers us, and that is why we keep suffering for no reason. Suffering for something worthwhile that you're passionate about, I completely understand. I'm all for it. I'm also actually doing the same in some capacity in certain areas. But suffering unnecessarily simply because you're resisting something that you should be accepting is only wasting your own resources, which could be your energy, your emotional energy, your time, and just you're exhausting yourself. Been there, done that. Still do it sometimes. I'm no saint. I'm just as human as everyone else. That's how it is. That's how life is like, and it's tough sometimes. But you've got to live it. As long as you're here as a human being, you have to. You have no choice. This is such a vast subject. It's like you can have endless discussions on this, and I would love to if somebody's up to talk about it. But for now, I think this is pretty much it. If you happen to come across this video and you've experienced a loss, any loss actually, I'm not even gonna categorize it for you. Even if you fucking lost a pencil that meant something to you, you're allowed to grieve it. Because I would. I would definitely grieve a favorite pencil or a favorite piece of stationery that had meaning. But the thing is that it's not the loss of a pencil or a thing. It's just that now you are struggling to assign a meaning because you think that the meaning has also left with the thing. But that's not the truth. My grandfather, my dogs, their physicality may have left this realm, but in spirit, they're always going to be here. And it took me a while to come to this conclusion because I was grieving. I still grieve. And I think it's going to be forever. I think I'll carry that pain with me forever. And I think that that is the very pain that shows that I cared. I loved them. Grief is just another form of love. You wouldn't grieve something or someone if you truly do not care about them or that thing or love them. The only reason you feel this devastated is because it meant something to you. That person, that thing, that creature, animal, they meant something to you. So I'll carry that with me forever. So should you if you've experienced it.